Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Carnelian Insight. On today's episode, we have with us Ms. Faiza Tariq Qureshi, Group Head People and Culture at HRSG. We welcome you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Farah.
Okay, so moving on with our Carnelian Insight, my first question to you is that how do you ensure there is alignment between your culture and your values in an organization?
Okay, interesting question given today's day and age. So, I think one of the more important aspects is, Farah, that the organizational culture should match what the values state. If, for example, the value states that honesty, your transparency, your truthfulness is one of your values, and your culture is opposing that, you have leadership or you have middle management who's probably fibbing away on certain things and getting away with it, that automatically tells people that that is not matched up to what your values are. So it's very important to ensure that when you're talking about those values, those are showing up in the behaviors of your people. It is actually being endorsed by the top-down approach as well. If your leadership is not showcasing those values on a day in, day out basis, now when I say day in, day out, it sounds very easy, fairly easy to do that. But there has to be a very conscious effort. If it's 3 values, 5 values, 6 values, whatever they are, you have to be able to showcase it on a daily basis in your actions. If you're not doing that, that automatically goes ahead and negates the culture of the organization. Secondly, also what is important, as much as I don't like saying that out on a social platform, but at times bad behavior has to be called out. If it is going against the organizational values, call it out. Nobody's saying that you have to, name and shame the individual, but call them out for that behavior. When the larger public sees that that particular behavior that is going against the company value is being called out on, then automatically that re-endorses it, that there is action being taken. अगर आप सिर्फ values for the sake of values plaster कर दें अपने walls पे और screen savers लगा दें, then there's no point to it. So in a nutshell, in my opinion, it has to be showcased to the behaviors, it has to be a top-down approach, and good behavior that endorses the values has to be endorsed and appreciated. Bad behavior that goes against it has to be called out in certain cases.
Absolutely. So that brings me to another question, that is, how do you align people and culture initiatives with the business strategy overall?
Okay, all right. So you see, what is people and culture? It's essentially the organization itself.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less, right? People make up the organization, so does the culture make up the organization. Whatever initiatives that the people and culture, or in basic terminologies, the HR department is coming up with, as far as these are the initiatives for their objective year, those have to be made in tangent with the business, in collaboration with the other business leads as well, whoever they may be. There is no point in having initiatives that serve your purpose. My purpose could be, I must have XYZ number of women in the workforce based on the female ratio that I want to maintain, correct? Now, if the business for whatever reasons cannot support that, and I've not taken their input onto it, is that serving my purpose as my initiatives for the People and Culture Division? No, it's not, and I'm completely misaligned. So it's important that whenever you are driving those initiatives, you sit down with the leadership. You sit down and talk to them and ask them what their needs are, and try and come to a middle ground of what works for you and what works for them as well. Silos को break down कर दें. हम beat देते हैं ये बात कह के कि मुख्तलिफ HR platforms के silos को beat कर दें, but काफ़ी दफ़ा वो हम कर नहीं सक पाते अपनी खुद की egos की वजह से कि नहीं जी, that's my department, that's my division, so जो what I say goes. Not really. I'm here because of those people. I'm here because of this culture. If that doesn't exist, my purpose ceases to exist. So it has to be on a collaborative effort.
Absolutely. So you mentioned about female ratio. That brings me to another question, that you are a women leader in your organization and you've been in leadership position for quite long now. So as a women leader, what type of challenges, if any, do you face, and are there any things in this domain may you think can be improved and all of that?
First of all, it's a very humbling line to hear that you're part of the leadership. I mean, I still pinch myself to bring me back to realization. You're right. You've served enough time in the world. Obviously, we're still learning. We're still evolving. Unique challenges. I'm sure there are plenty. And I'm sure my ovarian fraternity members have definitely faced it in different aspects. One of the challenges that I do feel is lack of mentors available for women. especially in leadership roles, or lack of platforms available for women to be able to learn from women who are in those leadership roles. Look, we all of us come in from different backgrounds, be it our political status, socio-political statuses, be it our family backgrounds, be it our educational backgrounds. Anything and everything is different about us, right? We're all, each one of us is a very unique creature. Now, if I have a gentleman who's my leader, he will probably be able to absolutely nail it for me when it comes down to building brilliant presentations, crunching out numbers, creating strategies to navigate through stakeholder management. All of that, I think they'll be able to brilliantly guide me. What they probably will not be able to guide me on is how do I bridge the gap of whatever is happening mentally inside here as a woman, whatever is happening back home on a personal front, and whatever is happening on a professional front. We have to take it with a pinch of salt. We are working in a Desi culture. Pakistan, right? We're not in a Western culture. The Desi culture comes with its own nuances. We have to be very sensitive to those nuances. And to be able to have somebody to lean on to and understand, she gets what I'm talking about. She understands why my frustration is there or why I'm challenged in a particular situation. That lack is probably what causes frustration at the leadership level. You don't have somebody to be able to go and talk to. And I think that is required. And it is high time that we as individuals start contributing back to our society. We do offer a lot of programs out in the market, leadership programs, women boot camps, so on and so forth. But I think we're still missing the crux of the matter. That circle of community needed, when I go back, I'm able to lean on to that community and find out if I'm struggling somewhere. Or even as normal check-in. Hey, kya haal hai? All good? Simple. That's all it takes.
Yes, and when you do that, it gives a space to that person that he or she can then call you back.
Agreed.
Ye ho raha hai, what can I do about it? And that provides a support system to both of them.
Agreed. See, men have that, right? They have that in their workspaces, and there's nothing wrong about it. It's okay. They have that space available. Probably in trying to become one of the men, we've also sort of blurred some of our boundaries just to be part of the pack, correct? And that is also okay. If it works for you, brilliant for you. But it doesn't work for a lot of the other people. And one has to be sensitive to that. If it doesn't work for them, then be able to give them that community. Be able to give them that space. I can be myself. I have this little space where I can scream, yell, and then come out a renewed person and come out with solutions to my challenges and practical solutions. Nothing kitabi.
Yes.
वो ज़रूरी है.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I would like to point out when you were mentioning this कि हम जो बात कर रहे थे वो सामने वाले जेंडर को समझ नहीं आ रही होती अक्सर क्योंकि yes we operate very differently.
Agreed.
So I'll give you an example. We were working on this program recently on Women's Day we were launching. So उस time पे I was discussing it with my colleagues. So what happens is कि when there is an idea we sit together as a team, we discuss it, we brainstorm, we criticize, and then we come up with something. So there were only male colleagues of mine who are amazing, incredible, always there to support. But they were not understanding this one thing that I was trying to tell them, no, this does not work this way.
Exactly.
And then another colleague of mine, she entered, and then she understood it like this. And this is exactly what happens in work culture as well. So it's very, very important.
No, I mean, not taking away from the menfolk of our corporates at all.
Absolutely.
They are brilliant supporters. I mean, we are here because of them as well, because they've been able to support us throughout our struggles. But kahin na kahin wo gap hai. And like you said, that gap is something that needs to be closed because wo build up jaise hota jata hai, and that is what causes frustrations at different levels.
Yes,
so, yeah.
Exactly. So, as part of people, there comes talent acquisition, right? So when we talk about talent acquisition in today's landscape, this is one major trend that people, the new generation, if we call them, they are leaving Pakistan for better opportunities abroad, and which is completely fine, all that. But what do you think are the strategies that companies have to retain them, or what can companies do, or can they do something about it? That is the question.
Can I do something about it? Can I stop the brain drain? No, it's out of my control, right?
Yeah.
The political situation of the country, the economic situation of the country, unfortunately, is triggering that, and it is what it is. Now, what do I do? What are my alternates? Whoever is left behind, right? एक तो number one, अपने आँखों से वो पर्दा निकाल दें कि जी बस मैं एक certain cadre या एक certain educational background के लोगों को ही hire करूँ. Be open to all kinds of talent. Build the bridges that are needed to be able to develop that talent into the talent that you require for your organizations, right? हम बहुत दफ़ा सुनते हैं कि career building festivals होते हैं, career fests हो रहे हैं, different communities create हुई हैं जहाँ पे corporate and universities बैठ के साथ बात कर रहे हैं on bridging the gap. It's unfortunate, but at least in my opinion, I feel nothing actionable has been done in that. It's all talk.
True.
If I am going to be in my advertisements, in my LinkedIn posts, if I'm still going to be asking for a certain educational background, and I know that educational background is not available in the talent, then what am I doing? I'm just literally अपने पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मारने वाली बात है. Also, be open to the fact कि जो नई generation है उसको 9 to 5 नहीं करना आपके साथ.
Yeah.
क्यों बज़द है कि जी 9 to 5 ही वो करेगा? क्यों बज़द है कि वो आएगा तो ये JD है, ये 4 tasks करेगा and that is it. एक चीज़ जो हम आजकल की generation से बहुत सुनते हैं, I'm bored. I don't want to do this anymore, right? ठीक है, that is them. Maybe 5 years fast forward they'll realize that is wrong. But इस वक्त this is what this generation demands. I'm not saying completely and absolutely lie down in front of them when it comes down to their demands, but find a middle ground somewhere or the other. Projects. जहाँ एक काम आप 9 to 5 की नज़र से देखते हैं उसको project का shape दे दो ना. अच्छा, Gen Z enjoys appreciation. They enjoy achievements. They want to put that up on their profiles. They want to flaunt it out to their friends and their colleagues. कि ये project मैंने किया है. So convert your usual talks into a project and give it to them for 6-8 months. Change it again. 8-10 महीने बाद क्योंकि वो आएगा आपके पास. वो 8-10 महीने बाद फिर आएगा कि I'm bored. Get another project ready for them. So as long as you have different kind of interesting things happening in the workplace for them, because देखो एक चीज़ understand कर लें कि they're not all fun and games. This generation comes with a brilliant mindset of tech savviness and the ability to be able to find creative solutions to very mundane problems. Give them that space. Give them that opportunity to be able to do it. Acha, they do not, at least in my opinion again, I feel जहाँ हम लोग बड़े comfortable थे with a little bit of micromanagement, they don't like it whatsoever. It's okay. Let them reinvent the wheel. They'll eventually find out that the older generation did a better job off of it, but let them go ahead and do it.
Absolutely.
Give them that space. Right. So it's all about finding a ground that works for all of us. And yes, letting go of the older methodologies. It's very important to let go of the older methodologies, because if we keep sticking to it, I mean, I'm hoping I can go ahead and use that example. There's a reason why Nokia is no longer what Nokia used to be.
Yes.
It didn't change.
Absolutely.
So if you want to be the next Nokia, go ahead.
Absolutely. This change thing is very, very important, especially when it comes to this setup now. So a lot of Gen Zs, they have entered the market, their work place, and ये जो change वाला मसला है ना, that is there. They are not accepting it the way they are. They just want them to move, but they cannot, and then they leave, and then there is retention.
Agree, absolutely. देखो हमारे लिए भी तो change हुए थे ना. When I entered the job market, I am sure the generation before me had to change themselves a little bit, right? Yes, ये ज़रूर है ना, accept that fact कि Gen X and Millennials सबसे ज़्यादा खुद change हुए हैं. Because हम में शायद वो agility और adaptability है. But that's okay. That's us. That's us as a generation. Can I expect that out of the other generation? Yes, I can. But then I've got to be very willing and open to the fact that they may not. So it's okay if I had to change for the one above me, and it's okay if I've got to change for the one below me.
All right.
Yeah.
So that is a perspective from TA. Now, if we flip it, and as students and as someone who's entering the market now, as you must have had so many interviews of people. So what are the tips and what is your message to them when they go for interviews? What should be in their minds, and all of these preparations जो भी होता है वो क्या क्या करके जाएं, और interview में how do how should they behave and act to get the job? I don't know.
देखो, I think एक चीज जो फरा, I think any interviewer with an ounce of common sense, foreign sense कर लेता है, is a cocky attitude. That attitude needs to be put out the door. Don't walk in as if you know everything. Correct?
Yeah.
Be open to the fact that you're going to be learning something new, maybe about yourself, maybe about the world when you walk into an interview. Be prepared. The number of times in today's day and age I've had to go back and tell people, did you not research about the organization? Are you not aware of what job role you're getting into?
Yeah.
Right? It's important. And the reason, and it's not just because I want to see your interest levels are not showcasing through it, by the way. Because you just needed to flip through a website, you probably just needed to flip through a couple of pages and you got that information out. What it showcases me is your initiative to be able to get that little bit of research out of the way and sort of build a basic commonality between. Because when you walk in for an interview, right, the only thing common at that point in time, before even I ask the first question, is you are interested in working for this organization and I'm interested in finding out why. So if I hear an answer where I don't know what the company does, that's a stop right there. Also, theek hai, money matters. Given the economic situation, it is crucially important, but it's not everything. The number of times people have spoiled their profiles by doing job hops, it needs to be stemmed to a certain aspect. हम fresh की बात कर रहे थे. ठीक है, you have a certain aspiration, but you're literally wet behind the ears at this point in time. You are a fresh baby who's out in the market and who's going to be, your learning curve is right up there, right? Your first and foremost should be jitna jaldi absorb kar lo. And wahan pe meri ask zarur hoti hai ki theek hai, money matters, but if learning is coming through, take that opportunity. Definitely not at the cost of putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, but don't miss out on opportunities just because नहीं, मेरा दोस्त तो लाख रुपए की नौकरी की पर मैं 80,000 से कैसे शुरू कर लूँ? You'll get there. हम social media platforms पे कितना पढ़ते हैं, everybody blooms in their own time. You'll get there. Don't worry about it. But get your basics sorted.
Since there's a lot of change in HR and it will continue, so what are the trends that you have seen, and उसके बरअक्स आपको क्या लगता है कि what should be the competencies of HR professionals moving forward for the future?
I feel data. Being able to read through raw data, being able to understand कि raw numbers आपको क्या बता रहे हैं, आपके क्या aspects हैं, वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. And well, myself included, I am going to put myself out there by saying this. Most, if not all, HR members steer clear of numbers. थोड़ा सा uncomfortable हो जाते हैं हम लोग उससे, because हम ज़्यादातर qualitative aspects पे बात करते हैं without realizing कि qualitative is important, but qualitative को भी जब तक quantify नहीं करोगे, it's not going to make sense to anybody. Data analytics has to be very strong. They have to be able to understand how to read those numbers for themselves. And yes, I think this is something that already develop हो गई है, उसको थोड़ा और polish करना है, is the agile mindset. The adaptability, because the paradigms are shifting in a snap. COVID happened. Nobody would have thought that work from home would ever happen in a country like Pakistan, yet it did. We all worked, in fact, for the entire world for that matter. Proven fact that yes, agile mindset hai, but it needs to be a lot more quicker. You can't do the typical 3 दिन सोचूंगा problem के बारे में, 4th दिन present करूंगा, 5वें दिन सोचेंगे, collaborate करेंगे, 6ठे दिन solution आएगा. You've missed the boat.
Very well said. Data very, very important, especially being in HR. If I tell you, मैंने HR इसलिए select किया था ताकि मुझे data और numbers से मेरी जान छूटे, लेकिन
but we're sitting right in the middle of data.
News, it's there. It's always going to be there, and you have to face it eventually.
Correct.
So my next question is that what strategies do you use, and when you are managing and when you're recruiting the new generation, and also in a multi-generational workforce setup?
Okay. So you see, new generation के बारे में बात कर ली, right? How to be able to make work interesting for them. Now comes the interesting part. Different age brackets all working together. True. How do you manage that? Sensitization. one has to consciously make efforts to sensitize each generation to the needs of the other and the gaps of the other, so the strengths and weaknesses. ठीक है, maybe it worked पहले कि just put them all together at the deeper end of the pool and let them swim on their own. They'll figure a way out. Doesn't work anymore. The people in culture, gatekeepers have to be able to ensure that they make conscious efforts, कहते हैं ना, maybe have monthly sessions where you have different generational individuals sitting down together, discussing things, what's working for them, what are they struggling with. Have those talks, have those discussions. Don't कहते हैं ना, put it under the rug के it's okay, हो जाएगा. It's just a you problem. No, it's not. It's not just a you problem. It's an us problem. Example, we have that at HRSG, right? We have multiple generational people working. I mean, I have, alhamdulillah, 50 plus individuals, age bracket wise, when I'm talking, individuals in their 50s, and then I have individuals in their 20s. Check the differential right there, right? I need to be able to walk up to both of them and be able to ask, are you okay? Are you okay? What's working for you? What's not working for you? Now, simple example. Somebody who's in the 50 plus age bracket, वो उसका एक mindset है, वो सुबह ठक करके 9 बजे on the dot ऑफिस में मौजूद होता है, आके अपनी टेबल पे बैठेगा, लैपटॉप खोलेगा, कंप्यूटर खोलेगा, जो भी उसका टास्क है वो खोलेगा, टक 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 करेगा, exactly 12:55 पे वो उठ के अपने लंच पे चला जाएगा, वापस आ जाएगा, मतलब क्लॉक वर्क्स की तरह चल रहा है, राइट? उसको कुर्सी पे बैठने की एक तरीके की आदत है, उस तरह काम करेगा, ज्यादा उसका हंसी मजाक नहीं है, चाय के 2 कप पिएगा, एक बात करेगा, and that is it. Fast forward to the new gen. वो आएगा अपने टाइम से, ठीक है? Yes, is it flaunting the company policy? Yes, it is flaunting the company policy. I have to learn to work around it. I've got to find a middle ground. I can't let him get away with it, and I can't let the other one get away with it either. उसको आदत है वो ज़मीन पे बैठ के लैपटॉप अपने लैप में रख के काम करने का शौक है. उसको एक lively, colourful space चाहिए. उसको हर 20 मिनट के ऊपर एक checkout चाहिए. Now, if I go ahead and provide that for that person, right, and I ignore my multi-generational 50 plus on that side, that's me being unfair to them because they have a certain way of doing this. उसको शायद खामोशी चाहिए. They need that focus time. वो हंसी मजाक earbuds फोन में लगा के म्यूजिक के साथ काम करने की आदत है उसको. वो they're loud. Sorry, apologies, but they are loud, right? You've got to find space for both of them. And don't shy away from these conversations. Once you shy away from these conversations, then you know what you've done? You've just shoved people in the back of the room and you've said, figure it out yourself. Yeah, and that doesn't work. Each organization has its own culture. And trust me, baat karoge, to you'll be able to find a middle ground. Baat jab nahi karte na, that is when the struggles start. I hope I've managed to address your question.
Yes, absolutely. Very well. So that brings me to the last question of the day. That is, since you've worked a lot in people and culture, so how do you gauge the efficacy of people and culture initiatives?
Oh, tough one. Tough one. Easier said than done, quite honestly. Off the book सवाल तो ये आते हैं ना, typical सर्वे कर लो, सर्वे से पता चल जाएगा.
Yes.
ठीक है, सर्वे से बेसलाइन पता चल जाएगी शायद, राइट? बहुत कुछ जो अंडरलाइंग थॉट्स हैं या फीलिंग्स है ना, वो इन पर्सन डिस्कशंस से पता चल जाता है आपको. सो हैव योर फोकस ग्रुप्स, हैव योर टॉक्स, स्पीक टू योर ब्रांड एम्बेसडर्स. I am sure, and if that is not happening, that's something that people need to start redoing again. And I think my seniors did a brilliant job off of it. They used to have their brand ambassador ka lafz main isliye use kar rahi hu because they had those hidden brand ambassadors in just about each of the departments. The go-to people that they could go and talk to and find out from them.
Nice.
Okay, look what's happening. They had, because those people they knew had their eye on the pulse. Because people would come to them and talk to them. Na? So then my senior would go and talk to them as well. Okay, tell me what's up. What's happening in the floor. So have those brand ambassadors, talk to them, find out okay, what are people thinking? What are their thoughts like, right? Have ample number of platforms available for people to be able to walk over and speak to as well. Ek to ye create kare. Yes, there are certain visible things that probably assist you. Probably retention. How many people का टर्नओवर कितना आपका सालाना
Yeah.
आ रहा है, बट कभी कभी वो नंबर्स भी आपको एक्चुअलिटी नहीं बताते, बिकॉज मे बी देयर आर नॉट इनफ जॉब्स इन द मार्केट. तो इसलिए उसको जो नौकरी मिली है वो खामोशी से कर रहा है, चाहे वो खुश है या वो अपसेट है आपसे. सो इट्स द ओनली वे टू बी एबल टू रियली गेट इनटू दैट इज talking to people. Surveys do help. Regular surveys need to be conducted, and that is something that I will own up that a lot of us miss out on completely. अच्छा, अब जब सर्वे कर लिया है और एक डेटा बेस मिल गया है आपको और आपको लग रहा है कि अच्छा इस पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट में शायद हम नहीं इतना कुछ कर पा रहे, या पीपल सीम अनहैप्पी, क्लोज द लूप. वी फॉरगेट टू क्लोज द लूप, वी लीव इट ओपन. एंड देन दैट ऑब्वियसली एड्स फर्दर फ्रस्ट्रेशन कि फ़ायदा मुझसे बात करने का. अब अगर मैंने आके फ़रा से बात की कि फ़रा you didn't like my cup of coffee, what happened? Farah comes back and tells me, this is what was missing. Okay, brilliant. Thank you for sharing your feedback. We'll definitely look into it. Fast forward 8 months, she's still getting the same cup of coffee. She's not going to speak to me the next time around. She's going to, there's no point. So go back and don't shy away from creating solutions for those problems. Or even coming back and saying, you know what, you told me that you didn't like the coffee. I am unfortunately not able to do anything about it because I don't know what to do about it. What do you think I should do about it? पूछ लो. There is no harm. We're all learning, right? हम एक ये भी तो unfortunately कुछ situations में दिमाग में आ जाता है, नहीं solution भी मैं नहीं provide करना है. Maybe solution दोनों साथ मिलके निकाल सकते हैं ना, and that then indirectly affects your happy index. Okay, what makes people happy? So yeah.
Excellent point to end our conversation with. Please close the loop. That is very important. Thank you so much for joining us today, Faiza. It has been a lovely conversation.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure being here, Farah. Thank you so much for the opportunity.